Welcome back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and with me today to talk the latest of Stargirl is Vic.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Good to see you. Corey, how are you doing today, sir?
I am just dandy.
Awesome.
But I'll be even more dandy if everybody that's watching showed up at 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/MillerKing_51 and joined us in our discussions. We're talking DC's Titans as well as Doom Patrol. And plus we get into other random topics, maybe movies we talked about. So come by, join us, and have some fun with this. So without further ado, let's talk Stargirl.
All right, so this week's breakdown of Stargirl starts with Chapter 10 of Summer School. Following Gordon's death, Starman reveals to Pat that Eclipso had threatened to kill Pat and his son and everyone that Starman loves, because that's what he was doing. He was running around just murdering members of the JSA's family. Not the JSA, their families, including a 10-year-old girl. So that kind of led up to them making the choice of having to kill him last episode. And with that being said, like, Stripesy kind of relented on how pissed off he was at Starman for doing that. But I thought maybe that was going to be his into Courtney, which the episode kind of picks right back up to Courtney still arguing with her parents about what they did, about them not breaking her trust and yada yada. I'm like, you snuck out of the house, you stole the equipment, like, you want to talk about breaking trust? Shut up, kid.
yeah. I mean, it's at some point, you just got to let it go, whether it's a character on a show or for life. But
and as all of that is breaking down, we have the reintroduction of Mr. Shade, who shows up, creepily falls out of the ceiling of their house.
Well, it wasn't a great entrance, I'll say that.
No, it was not one of his better ones. He just kind of dropped out of the sky like a sack of like dead potatoes.
Yeah, he tries telling them, he's like, look, if you want to stop Eclipso, you've got to get all those pieces back together, and that'll contain him.
Yes, he's got to fuse he's like, fuse the black diamond back together, and they're like, how? And they're like, use the cosmic staff. The thing that broke it is the thing that can repair it. And she's like, yeah, but it's kind of out of juice, so it's only at half charge, and I don't think we can make that work. And of course, as you had said, good call. They're like, I know what can do it. The lantern ring. Right on time. So Pat suggests they can use Jenny's power ring to fuse the shard back together. And then they figure out that, it just so happens that there's trouble in Civic City, and it looks like it's leading towards being
There's some green
bump.
Yeah, there's some green explosions that have happened across the city, so they know where she's there.
Yeah.
They do track her down to a halfway house for kids, maybe.
It was a rehab center.
Yeah.
And then they're looking for Todd. Yeah, they're looking for Todd because he'd gotten himself into some trouble in the orphanages, and got put into the system. And instead of going to jail, they sent him to a rehab center. And she was chased. She was looking for him, and she's like, well, the first thing I got to do. She went to the orphanage where he was supposed to be. He wasn't there, and she burned it down. Then she was like, well, if they don't know where he is, then the only other place that I'm going to be able to find him is in the data archives or the records. So she goes to the state building and tries to track him down there, and that's where she figures out where he is. But in the interim, once again, because she got emotional, she lit the place on fire. So she's not technically running around starting fires. She just can't control her powers. And that's causing fires to start. And it's a bad time for her.
But Stripes and Courtney show up and they talk to her and they end up leaving. They tell her what's going on. So they all leave to go back to try and put those shards back together. And meanwhile,
we find out that,
Nurse Ratchet.
Apparently, Civic City is where Stripesy, and Starman, that was their base of operations. Because we find out that each of the members of the JSA had an individual base of operation located all over, I guess, the U.S. And theirs just happened to be in Civic City. And once again, DC doesn't use real cities, so we don't really know where that city is. But apparently, it's only like an 2-hour drive from where they're at now. So there's no real telling where that is. But
We're gonna say it's Indianapolis.
when they get there, you'd love that. When they get there, they do figure out that she's been hanging out and hiding there. But I'm like, how does she know where it is?
I was thinking that too.
Like, how did she find this? Like, I mean, maybe she went through all the paperwork that was downstairs, but if that was the case, Courtney would have known about this place too, and she had no idea when they got there, like where it was. So I'm like, you can't just do that. You can't just be like, oh yeah, she's been there the whole time. Like, well, how did she find the place? 1, 2, how did she get into the place? Because I'm pretty sure it's probably let me stop myself right there. DC TV shows do not use locks on their doors and have any security systems, as we have been proven on every DC show ever.
Nor do they have dust, because everything was very clean in there for not having been used in 10 years.
She moved in and she was like, if I'm gonna stay here, I might as well clean it up. It's the nice thing to do. She used her Green Lantern powers to clean the place up, whatever. But with that said, she does end up at the rehabilitation center. And like you said, Nurse Ratchet.
Nurse Ratchet, you find out, actually knows a little bit more than she's been leading on, because she didn't know that Todd had a sister. But she lied and said that Todd was gone. Turns out he's actually there somewhere on the grounds. Probably being tortured or somewhat.
I don't know if he's on the grounds, but he is in the clutches of Mr. Bones. And that...
Now, were these two characters in the comics at any time?
Lois Love and Mr. Bones are part of a... What was the story for them? They're part of they're kind of like a Sinister Six kind of situation. There are a bunch of metahuman bad guys that become that were like trouble at first, but then Mr. Bones ends up like changing his he becomes an anti-hero, and as an anti-hero he ends up working for the government. And I can't remember what the name of that team is, that group is, but here's what I was thinking when I was watching it. If I remember correctly, Mr. Bones is in charge of a division of the government in the DC universe that patrols and polices paranormal activity, if I remember correctly. And
okay.
I'm not sure, but I am pretty dang sure that group may be the same group that's in Doom Patrol, the one that the professor belonged to, that was housing all of those, all the creatures and stuff. The ODT or OTA or something like that. I don't remember what it's called, but I feel like they might be connected in that way. Like, he's part of that organization, and that's kind of why he's doing what he's doing. But basically what he does, he gets metahumans that have like paranormal-esque powers, and he tries to use them as special agents. So it's kind of like almost like a
Suicide Squad
thing going on. But they do that a lot in comic, especially in DC Comics. But like I said before, he's got Green Lantern powers, but his Green Lantern powers are like dark-ish. So I think that fits with what's going on with Mr. Bones. And like I said, eventually he does end up combining with Eclipso, and becomes the Eclipso character. So this is all leading towards that in my mind. But Mr. Bones apparently has Todd, and they don't know it, so they're going to continue on with that storyline down the road.
Mm-hmm.
While all this is going on, Beth is left at the house to protect the family. I'm like, Beth is the one. I mean, she's the only one left. Let's be clear, she's the only one left.
I mean, you got our man. He's in prison right now, being thrown apples. That's the only time we see him this episode. Yes. So we'll move on from him.
But the fact that he's getting thrown apples means that my man is outside trying to keep his connection with him. So Solomon Grundy obviously is going to play a big part in him getting out and him kind of healing his mind about what's going on.
First of all, he's got great aim because he threw every one of those apples through the two grates without damaging the apple.
I
Second
mean,
of all, he's excellent at hide and seek because amazingly he's standing right outside of a jail and nobody sees him. So good on him.
I mean, you
You're gonna
can't
do hide and
you,
seek with teams. Pick him first.
you can't discount Grundy's abilities.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, so they chose they have Beth stay with them, and basically the reason why is because she can filter out Eclipso's mind control powers with her goggles, so she can tell reality from the mind control, and that's actually useful for them because none of them they would not know when they're being manipulated, but she can see what's going on. And she ends up having a conversation with Dr. McNider, the original Dr. McNider, and Dr. Midnight, and she gets a little more information about what's going on with him. The fact that that Shade didn't kill him, he just pulled him into the Shadow Realm, and in the Shadow Realm, he's still alive. He just doesn't know what's going on. He can't really see, but he can still communicate. And he has the best cell phone battery ever created in existence
Mm-hmm.
because it's still working. So apparently, like, the Shadow Realm is where you need to get your batteries to charge. Because
Yeah, no.
whatever. So she starts giving him a little more. She's like, I need more information. So he starts flooding her with all the information about everything that's going on with them, and she's reading through it, trying to figure out like what's the best thing to do. But yeah,
And comes to the conclusion at the exact same moment
right,
that it's being done that they cannot put those shards back together because it will end up healing
right,
the Shade. It will
right,
heal him and bring Mephisto back to life.
right.
And as soon as she finds that out, they get it put back together.
And we find this out through a flashback provided by Dr. McNider about Shade, who is centuries old, and we find out that he was basically a thief for hire. A cult had hired him to steal the Black Diamond. He stole the Black Diamond, but realized it had power that he wanted, so he gave them a fake version of the Black Diamond. Then they tried to do, and this is what I've worked out what happened. So they instead of paying him, they pay him in kind by using him for the sacrifice. But because they try to use him for the sacrifice using the fake diamond, while he was in possession of the real diamond, I think that they were directing their power towards the fake, and that broke, and that's what like fused his powers with the Shadow Realm that Eclipso is from, giving him the abilities that he has and turning him into the Shade. So
sounds good to me.
They're linked. They are linked. Like, that's the whole point. And again, the reason why he wanted that diamond was because if anybody gets a hold of that diamond and breaks the diamond, he loses his power. So he knew that this could happen. That's why he was trying to get the diamond before anybody else did, because he needed to secure his existence, because if Eclipso got out, he's screwed. But my question is, like, why all of a sudden is that, like, why didn't you try that last season? Like, why is it just now that you decided, oh, it's convenient? That's right.
Yeah. Come on, you gotta remember that.
She uses her powers, Jenny uses her powers to recombine the Black Diamond. She informs them that, stop, it's a trap, and it's too late because she's already managed to get it back together. Shade pops up like nothing's wrong. He's fresh as a daisy, and he's like, I've got my mojo back.
Yeah, y'all believed him.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So Shade gets his powers back. He summons Eclipso. Jenny ends up getting knocked out. And then Courtney ends up getting sucked into what I'm assuming is going to be the Shadow Realm.
She's dead. End of show.
No, because exactly what I told you was going to happen. The whole point, like, Cindy disappeared. you know, she didn't get dusted. She fell into that same goop that Courtney just got yanked into, which is going to be a portal to the Shadow Realm, which means she's going to find Cindy. She's going to help Cindy escape. They're going to help Dr. McNider get out. And then they're all going to go against Eclipso and defeat him. And the only way they're going to be able to defeat him is when Todd shows up and absorbs all of his powers and melds with Eclipso. But I'm like, so you know you were about to fall into oblivion, but you put down the cosmic staff. Or it's a finite hole. The hole was not that big. It was just like girl sized enough for her to fall in. But that staff is like 7 feet long. So you take the staff and put it across the hole, put your shoulders over it, and then let him pull you out. And apparently, like, he's really weak because she's a little girl. I'm pretty sure one hand to the back of that star covered T-shirt she was wearing could have yanked her out of that hole, but whatever. Anyway, my logic is much better than theirs. But she goes into the hole, it closes behind her. Now they've lost Courtney too, so that's not going to go over well with Barb. So we'll see what we end up next week.
Yeah, that's. Oh, we did have one other thing. One other thing is that Mike had snuck off to do some work on on the robots
on Stripes. Yep.
He went to work on the robot. Found out, heard something on the radio. Went and showed up at this house that was all done up like a gingerbread house, which he automatically assumed.
He heard over the radio that there was weird things going on and there was pink lightning. And as soon as he heard pink lightning, he's like, "Oh shit, it's Thunderbolt." And then he was like, "I need to go investigate because I don't get myself in enough trouble as it is." And he ends up going to to where the craziness is going on. And him and 2 other people are standing outside of a big giant gingerbread house, fully adorned with gumdrops and icing. And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah, so I had a feeling that this character was going to come back. It wasn't going to be the last we saw them, and most likely, with the timing, I'm wondering if they're going to factor in getting rid of Eclipso as well too. Maybe it takes them all to get rid of Calypso.
I think it's going to take everybody. I think that Thunderbolt's ridiculous magic is enough to counteract or at least fight against Eclipso's dark magic, which gives everybody some extra assistance in that department. So we'll see where it ends out. We're on episode 10. There's 13 episodes. Next week is going to probably be some sort of a filler episode going into the penultimate and then into the finale. So we'll see where we end up. But at this point, they're revving up to the oh shit moment. Everybody's in trouble. So we'll see where it ends up.
Yep. All right. That's going to end this episode. We do want to thank you for watching. And on behalf of Vic,
that's me.
I'm Corey. I'm screwing up another ending. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.